Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Reviews presented by Quantum Podcasts. As always, I will be your host, Chris, and this, of course, is the show about all things movies and TV. But speaking of movies, we're going to be reviewing Supergirl, one of the summer's biggest blockbusters to come from DC Universe. We're going to dive back into the DC Universe ever since probably Superman, I think, is the last time we really talked about the DC Universe. We touched on Peacemaker and a few other projects, but Superman was probably the biggest one. Now, this year, it's Supergirl. Next year, it'll be Man of Tomorrow, the sequel to last year's Superman. I enjoyed this movie. I know there's a lot of mixed reviews, I'll say, and already flop talk going on about the film, but we're going to be giving my review finally on the show today. Also, I'll be reacting to two other projects that just came out the last few days. Avatar Season 2 is out on Netflix, and then the final Jackass movie came out in theaters as well. So I'll be talking about those in news and reactions today. Before we get into all that, though, a couple reminders at the top of the episode. You can watch the show every week at youtube.com/thecinematicreviews. You can also listen to the audio version on whichever podcast platform you deem worthy. You can watch the show also on Spotify as well. Check out all the social media pages, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. The show is everywhere. So go ahead and follow those pages and support the show. Thank you for everybody that has supported the show all these years. It's been a fun time so far. Plenty more content coming your way. Lots of movies and shows to review on here. Also, check out the official website, cinematic-reviews.com, where you can set up a profile and you can rate movies like Supergirl with the popcorn rating that I do on each and every episode. You can also rank the DC Universe. You can watch all the episodes, shorts, test your knowledge with trivia games. There's a lot of stuff to do on the website, so go ahead and set up a profile and have some fun. I think that's it for reminders. Let's head over to news and reactions for those two reactions that we have to today. So first up, I'm going to be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 2, the live-action retelling of the beloved Nickelodeon cartoon that Netflix has been doing. We've had one season and now two seasons finally after, I think, 2 years is when the first season came out. It's been a long 2 years, but here we are diving back into the world of Avatar, which I love. I like this retelling. It does change a few things from the Netflix cartoon. Of course, a lot of it isn't going to translate from the cartoon to live action as we want it to be. So, of course, they're going to have to tweak the story and some of the other events that happen throughout the show to make it fit into the live action world. But so far, I really like it. The standout performance, I think, from Season 2 for me was Toph. Toph was fantastic. It reminded me a lot of what we love from the character in the cartoon on Nickelodeon. She was terrific. I really love what they did with her. Sokka is a joy again. You know, he's got the humor, but he also has the braveness and the love and care that comes with the character as well. Aang, obviously, the actor himself, has grown up quite a bit in the last 2 years. That seems to be the talk of the town with how he looks now. This is what you get. We went through this with Stranger Things, and now we're going to go through it with The Last Airbender, where there's so much time in between these seasons. Obviously, the actors are going to start hitting puberty, growth spurts, whatever you want to call it, especially when you get them as young as they did with this cast and the Stranger Things cast. So, I mean, it doesn't bug me whatsoever. You could tell that it kind of messes with the story a little bit, though. Between season 1 and 2, I think it's only a couple of weeks. Clearly, it's been 2 years as you look at the actors. But again, that is solely on Netflix for waiting so long to release these seasons. Obviously, the actors end up, hitting growth spurts and things like that. But I do really like this live-action Avatar. I'm very excited for the conclusion, which will be season 3. They seem to be following the same structure as the Nickelodeon show, which is great. We only need 3 seasons. We don't need this to turn into a Walking Dead example or Game of Thrones example where they just kind of stretch themselves too thin with these seasons. So I really liked it that they're copy and pasting that aspect of the cartoon. Looking at the popcorn rating for season 2, I gave it 5 popcorns, just like season 1. It doesn't, really blow your mind like the Nickelodeon show did, so I couldn't quite get it to golden popcorn status, but 5 popcorns is still really, really good. It's an awesome show. I really like it. If you're a fan of the Nickelodeon show, this does pay respect to Ba Sing Se and Toph and all the other Earth Kingdom elements in this season 2. They did a really good job, and bravo to Netflix for doing what M. Night Shyamalan dropped the ball hard on with his movie back in 2010. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. One of the worst adaptations I've ever seen as well. But Netflix knows what they're doing. They're doing their best to pay their respect to the Nickelodeon show, but also to make it their own. That's the thing. It's not going to be copy and paste the cartoon. I know that's been some of the criticisms from season 1 and now carrying over into season 2 on not copy and pasting those. Well, if we were going to copy and paste the cartoon, you might as well just watch the cartoon. I like that Netflix is taking aspects from that cartoon and throwing it in there for fans, but also kind of making it their own thing, their version or their vision of this story, which is an incredible story. I love the story of the Avatar who can master all these elements to save the world from the Fire Nation. It's really, really awesome. They're doing a really good job, so I really like it. Looking at season 1 versus season 2, I actually like season 2 a lot better. I think CGI-wise, it just looks better. The story reminds me a lot more of the Nickelodeon show than season 1. And the cast is phenomenal. Like I said, Toph and Azula were really, really good in here. Two of the biggest performances, I think, next to Sokka and, of course, Aang, who are really, really good in this show as well. So check out Avatar: The Last Airbender. Seasons 1 and 2 are out now. Season 3, I think, is coming out, I would hope, within the next year or two. Hopefully the Aang doesn't go through another growth spurt again. But check out Avatar: The Last Airbender if you are a fan of the Nickelodeon show, or if you're just curious on what to watch next with all the streaming services going on. Go ahead and check that out on Netflix. Switching over to the theater, we have the final Jackass film release in theaters. This is Jackass Best and Last, and yes, it is the last, according to Johnny Knoxville in the movie himself, being hooked up to the electric chair, and Steve-O basically interrogating him, is this the last one? And Knoxville, with a tear in his eye, said, this is the last one, and it makes sense. These guys have put their body through hell within the last, 30 years of doing this. And they're all in their 50s pretty much. I mean, you've seen archive footage of Bam. You've seen what his experience on this show has unfortunately done to his body. Steve-O has been very vocal, as well as Johnny Knoxville, on what this show and the TV show, the movies and the TV show, did to their bodies. Knoxville has suffered multiple concussions, one of which was in this movie during that bowl scene where he had to be hospitalized. Steve-O himself has gone through many different, broken bones, concussions, shoving things up his ass, things like that. Along with the rest of this cast, like Wee Man, Chris Pontius, Dave England. Aaron, for example, has put his body through freaking hell. These guys are just, their body has ran its course, and I think it's unfortunately time to close the book. The one thing I did notice, and what kind of got me excited about Jackass Forever that came out a few years ago, was the new cast seemed to be taking the torch from these guys and could carry on this tradition. It sounds like they might just end this altogether. The new cast wasn't really involved with this new installment of the franchise. A couple of them, like Zach, was in it probably the most. But versus Jackass Forever, where they were all kind of had their own stunts, there wasn't really a lot of the new cast in here. It was mainly just the OG guys doing all of this. And maybe it's just because it's a farewell for them, and maybe if they decide to kind of reinvent this Jackass franchise, maybe they bring that new group back for their own TV show or span of movies. This one seemed to be kind of just a last hurrah for Steve-O, for England, for Aaron, for Wee Man, for Knoxville, of course, who has gone and had a very successful career. I guess arguably could be out of any of these guys, Knoxville has been the most successful, host of Fear Factor, multiple movies he's appeared in, TV shows, along with the Jackass franchise. This is their farewell, and this movie is, in my opinion, the best of the franchise. If you haven't seen on social media, I posted right away what my rating was for this movie, and it's the golden popcorn status. This may well be the comedy of the year when it comes to Cinematic Awards time at the end of the year. This movie, I was just, from start to finish, was just laughing my ass off. I couldn't breathe for parts of the show, especially Larry. We don't normally do these categories in news and reactions, but Jackass, I just wanted to take a few seconds to do some categories here. So best in show, it's Larry, who was voiced by Adam, one of the crew guys on the show. Larry was the robot, was the newest member of the gang on this one, and it opens up the show perfectly with him coming out and giving Steve-O a prostate exam with his big ass claw finger and smothered in peanut butter. Like, it was the perfect way to open up this movie. And so Larry, the robot, gets best in show. I already kind of mentioned it already, but this is the number one in the franchise. I think this is the best one so far. And then the popcorn rating is the golden popcorn. So just a couple of categories that I wanted to bring up because I just had such a fun time with this movie. Go and see this movie in theaters with a large crowd of people. Find the most packed theater to watch this in so that you all can laugh. For me, it was kind of the opposite effect, though. I think I enjoyed this more with just the small group of people that I was with. So maybe I want to take back what I just said and maybe find just a small group of people. For me, I went on a Sunday morning and it was me and like 4 other people, and we just laughed our asses off and just kind of experienced this movie together. I think it would have been a lot of fun too if you just get a jam-packed theater, but it's just something about just the 5 of us in one theater screen just laughing our asses off to these guys just destroying their body. It's so ridiculous and it's so much fun. You can tell these guys had a lot of fun making this franchise, but their bodies say otherwise, of course. But I really, really like Jackass Best and Last. It's definitely going to be in consideration for Comedy of the Year. It may have just won Comedy of the Year. I can't think of any other movie that's going to make me laugh as hard as this movie did this year. So kudos to Jackass, kudos to Knoxville and the rest of the crew for bringing an outstanding final chapter and paying respect to this franchise that I grew up watching. I stayed up till 2 a.m. watching the TV show on MTV and VH1. And then you had like Viva La Bam and Wild Boys and the things that kind of spawned from this franchise. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. So go support the show, the series, Jackass Best and Last, now in theaters. Looking at the box office real quick, I think it had about $10 million budget, and it's already made that much in just a few days. So everything now is just pure profit. Will this actually be the last one of the franchise? We'll see. I think Knoxville was truthful, and this is the last one forever. So we'll have, the 5 movies and I think the 3 seasons just to watch over and over and over again. The fact that they kind of paid homage to the TV shows and the earlier movies was great. With like the archive footage, we got to see different angles from the Porta Potty Supreme, where Steve-O was stuck into a porta potty and basically shook up and down like a martini glass in the Poop Supreme mess. You even get to see stunts that never were greenlit because they were so bad. One, for example, I'm not going to spoil in the episode today because it's such a ridiculous stunt that I can see why the studio did not let them release it until now because of legal reasons. But I will kind of just let you guys discover that one for yourself. But it is truly ridiculous, and I'm not one bit surprised why they had to say no to that stunt because it is bonker insanity. So like I said, check out Jackass Best and Last in theaters right now. This will eventually hit streaming, but go and watch this in the theater with other people and just laugh your ass off and have a good time because this is what that show is. So let's take a quick break and we'll get into our featured film today, Supergirl. Check out the official website of the podcast at www.cinematic-reviews.com. Simply set up a profile, start reviewing your favorite movies and TV shows. There are a ton of fun things to do on the website. You can use the popcorn rating system that I use on the show by selecting a movie or TV show from the library. You can rank your favorite franchises like Marvel or Star Wars. You can even test your knowledge with some fun trivia games. There are a lot more features like checking out all the blockbuster showdowns and best in shows that I have done on the episodes. And speaking of episodes, you can watch the show directly on the website. So start reviewing today by setting up a profile at cinematic-reviews.com, and I will see you all at the movies.
We haven't been formally introduced.
So Supergirl came out this past weekend on June 26th. The budget was about $170 million. Now I've seen a different range of numbers with marketing and things like that, but the budget itself for the production seems to be about $170 million. So far, the movie has only grossed $68 million worldwide. Looks like about $38 million in just US and Canada. I think early reports have suggested that this movie could cost the studio $100 million. I've seen upwards of $180 to $200 million at the end of the day. So we'll see what the final box office numbers bring once this is completely pulled from theaters. But my hope is that people will start to be a little curious and go and check this movie out for themselves instead of just reading all these reviews that have been pretty bad. Bad as in like poorly written, as well as very negative towards the movie. Ranges from it being lackluster, boring, sexist, things like that. That's not the vibe I got whatsoever. I enjoyed this a lot. There's a lot of action. Arguably, it's kind of nonstop action. I think there's only a few parts in here where there isn't action happening. It's got a decent enough story to where you're emotionally invested in the Kara character as well as her character growth throughout this movie. You get cameos from Superman, which are great. I thought he was only going to be in here for like a couple scenes. He's in here quite a bit. He's got a good chunk of time in this movie, and it seems like Supergirl is going to play a prominent role in his sequel next year. So they're really building this chemistry between Supergirl and Superman, which is great. You know, they're cousins. In the comics, they team up a lot. They have a relationship with each other, so it's going to be really cool to see these two kind of grow as cousins in these series of films to kick off the DC universe. No word yet on if Supergirl 2 is happening. I kind of hope it does because I want more from Millie Alcock. I think she was great as Supergirl. She looks the part. She handled the action very well. Her performance outside of the suit, you know, a lot of people are like, Superman was in his suit the whole time. We didn't really get to see him as Clark. Well, they kind of did the reverse of this and what a typical superhero movie does. We don't see her in her suit until the very end, till the last fight. That's kind of like comic book movie 101 where you kind of lead up into the suit. Whereas Superman, you know, he's been Superman for a couple of years now. He's pretty much, I think, like 85 to 90% of the movie, he's in his Superman suit. He's playing Superman, whereas Clark has a tiny bit in there. They kind of did the reverse with Supergirl, where Kara is in her just normal getup, partying from universe to universe to celebrate her birthday week. And then eventually, at the very end, she puts on the suit and becomes Supergirl, so to speak. Was a really cookie cutter comic book movie formula, but I enjoyed it. You know, it made that scene at the end with her in her suit kicking ass even more exciting because it's like, oh, we get to see her in her suit, her comic accurate suit finally. You know, leading up, it's kind of teasing us. We see a couple of shots of the suit. We get to see that really cool scene of Superman handing Kara the suit for the first time, saying, hey, we wear these bright colors so that the bad guys know we're good and so that everybody else knows we're good. You know, we get shots of the suit, but we don't actually get her in the suit until the very end, which I think was a good idea. Other characters that I really liked in here, Lobo, played by Jason Momoa, who is no stranger to the DC universe. He previously played Aquaman. He is now Lobo in James Gunn's universe. He's great. We're going to talk about him a little bit more in another category later on in the show, but I really enjoyed him. I'm not too familiar with the Lobo character. I know of him. I recognize him. Like, if you showed me a picture, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's Lobo. But Jason Momoa is really good in there, and I hope we get some kind of Lobo spinoff or throw him into the Superman movie next year. It'd be really cool to get more from him. We get introduced to Ruthie, who is the not really MacGuffin, but she's kind of just like a side character to kind of kickstart this mission for Supergirl. Crypto, who takes a back seat in this movie, unfortunately. He ends up getting darted with a poison and knocking him out for about 80% of the movie. So that kind of sucks that we didn't get to see a whole lot of Crypto fighting these enemies, but we also get the opportunity to see Supergirl handle things herself. Whereas in the Superman movie last year, Crypto was running around doing stuff with Superman, which was fun, and we had that. We don't want to just keep copy and pasting Superman every year. So I think that was an interesting idea to kind of separate this from last year's Superman and try to see how Supergirl can handle things herself. And then also give her a purpose in this movie as far as like a mission. So she has to go get the antidote for this poison to save Crypto. So there's lives at stakes. Now, a lot of people are showing comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which, yeah, in a way, it is the same movie, but it's also not. I know James Gunn directed both movies, or didn't direct this one, but he was heavily involved with it, I'm sure. But it's different than Volume 3 of Guardians. Like, I get it. I get where people are going. But it's not as copy and paste as a lot of people are saying. There's a lot of different aspects to it. They're really just linking it's an animal is dying, so they have to go get the antidote. Like, a lot of movies are like that. It's just settle down. I already mentioned Superman. David Cornsett is back as Superman in quite a bit of the movie, which I really enjoyed. And then Krem is the villain. We'll talk about him more in another category as well. He was an alright villain. The villain part is the biggest issue I have with this movie, but I'll save that for later on. So I wanted to bring it up one more time. So this movie is getting annihilated by reviews. There's already flop rumors going around. This movie is not a masterpiece. Like, don't hear what I'm saying. It's not the best comic book movie in the world. It's not a masterpiece. It's not as bad as people are saying, though. Like, just turn your brain off and enjoy the movie. Like, that's what I did. It's a Supergirl movie, a character that I'm not really heavily invested in. Never really grew up watching the Supergirl show or movie or reading the Supergirl comics, so I'm pretty unbiased and really have no baggage coming with to this Supergirl movie. And I was able to just enjoy it for what it is. Like, it's a superhero movie about a female lead. Now, I know a lot of people are like starting to rank all these female leads and like, look, when you put a female in a lead, the movie tanks. No, it does. Everybody seems to be forgetting the first Wonder Woman movie, which one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. Granted, third act sucks ass, but overall, that is one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. Supergirl, not quite on that level, but it's not the Marvels. It's not Black Widow. Like, it's better than those. It's not Madam Web. It's way better than those movies. Now, people need to just chill out and, like I said, enjoy the movie for what it is. Quit, over analyzing it or coming up with these harebrained ideas on what the meaning behind this scene is or behind this word or behind this action. just accept it for what it is. It is a turn your brain off superhero movie about Supergirl saving her goddamn dog. If it helps you, imagine it John Wick, because this has a lot more in common with John Wick than it does Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I don't think anybody's brought that up. This has so much John Wick in it, and it's probably why I enjoyed it a lot, because Supergirl is just so unhinged in here when she finds out her dog is on the verge of death. Like, she doesn't even care about Ruthie's family anymore or helping her. Like, she is like, my dog only matters, and that is exactly what John Wick is. John Wick is on a tunnel mission to kill the guy that killed his dog, and then he's done. He doesn't care about anybody else. So if you're going to compare Supergirl to any movie, it's going to be John Wick more than Guardians of the Galaxy. So I just want to throw that out there. But I understand it. I understand why people don't like this movie. I understand why the bad reviews are behind it. And I can see by the numbers, yeah, maybe this is going to be a flop. Just because it's a flop doesn't mean the movie is bad. It just means that people are either hesitant, or there's a lot going on in the summer, or there's other movies that they're seeing. Like, I mean, Toy Story 5 just came out. So obviously, people are going to take their kids to Toy Story 5 over Supergirl. It's just unfortunate that this came out the same summer as Toy Story. Spider-Man's coming out in a month. You have The Odyssey coming out. Minions is coming out this week. Like, there are so many other movies that have a bigger attachment, a bigger fan base than Supergirl. And it's just unfortunate that this one landed in this summer because of all the movies around it. You know, Jackass came out this week. Not a lot of people were seeing Jackass, but like I said earlier in the episode today, that is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life. I gave it the golden popcorn status for a Jackass movie, and people are going to forget about it because they're going to see Toy Story, because they're going to go see Minions, probably because they're going to go see Supergirl instead, or whatever the case may be. This movie is not as bad as what people are saying online, and I just want to put that out there. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. It's actually a pretty good movie. The villain, like I said, I'm going to talk about that later on, but that is my biggest gripe, is the villain. And it has nothing to do with what they did with the villain. It's the writing and it's the performance. I think they really needed to get an actor like Nicholas Hoult, for example, who killed it as Lex in Superman. They needed to get somebody like that in the villain role. They kind of did Millie Alcock a disservice by the villain that they went with as far as the writing and the actor. Now, I'm sure the guy, whatever his name is, what is his name? Matthias. I'm not even going to attempt his last name. Anyways, this movie has a villain problem. That is the biggest thing that is stopping me from giving it a higher popcorn rating, is because of the villain. It has nothing to do with Millie Alcock's performance. She is fantastic. She is great. She is Supergirl. And anybody that says otherwise obviously missed something really cool with her, and they're focused on other things of the movie. If you focus on Millie Alcock's performance, she is really, really good in this movie, and I like the character arc that she goes through and how she kind of changes as not just a person, but as a hero. It's really, really good, and I think a lot of people are focusing on the other stuff and really missing the great performance that she did. Anyways, that's my little rant about all the bad reviews and all the flop rumors going around out there. Just go see the movie for yourself. I know theater prices are expensive. I know concessions are expensive. But just go take the family, turn your brain off, check out a superhero movie, and just go enjoy yourself and make a decision on your own. You know, don't back out of a movie just because you read a bunch of bad reviews on it. Actually, for me, reading those bad reviews made me want to go see it even more and go, hey, this movie can't be as bad as these reviews are saying. And sure enough, it wasn't. This was actually really good, and I really enjoyed it. Anyways, that's my little rant. Let's move on. James Gunn's version of Krypton. I wanted to talk about this a little bit because this is such a big part of the Superman, Supergirl lore. We finally get to see James Gunn's version of Krypton in this movie. We didn't really get to see it with Superman. We get to see it more here. We get to see Kal-El's ship, leave Krypton, head to Earth. But then we also get some more backstory on Kara, who doesn't make it to Earth right away. her father, Zor-El, actually breaks off a piece of Krypton called Argo City, and they kind of go floating out into space for, what was it, 8... So it was 8 years before she was born, and then she's probably, I don't know, 16 when she gets... So, I mean, they've been flying out in Argo City's been flying out in space for a couple decades at least. At least if my math serves me right. Anyways, then eventually gets to Earth. So that was really cool to see James Gunn's version of Krypton and all that. That's what I really do like about the Superman. That's what really interested me with Cavill Superman, was Zack Snyder's version of Krypton and the events that happened. This is actually pretty good too. I enjoy James Gunn's version. It's very, very interesting. It's very different from Snyder's, of course. You know, Zack Snyder went like really heavy into the alien stuff and the darkness and the grittiness of it. This is a little more like, everyone's wearing white. It's a little more bright colors and just like almost heaven-like or utopian-like, which was pretty cool. Now, the future of Supergirl. Again, no idea if Supergirl 2 is going to happen. Looking at the box office numbers, probably not going to happen anytime soon. But she is going to have a prominent role in Man of Tomorrow, which is great. So maybe when Superman 2 comes out, or Man of Tomorrow comes out next year, maybe it'll kind of like, oh, okay, Supergirl's actually really good in this movie. Let's get her a sequel. I really hope we get a sequel to this movie, because I think there's a lot more to be desired from Millie as far as her performance and building on the character, and more things they can do with the Supergirl character. They got to get a Supergirl 2 out there and just kind of let Millie do her thing and be a Supergirl. She's really good in here. All right, let's get to the categories, and then we'll wrap it all up with the rankings. So, potential iconic scenes. Reminder, these are iconic scenes in the future. So these are scenes that, you know, in 5 years when we're talking about this movie, what are the iconic scenes from this movie? Well, here's some options here. Krypto getting shot by the poison dart. I mean, that's a pretty big scene. That kickstarts his entire adventure. It's really sad, too, to see Krypto knocked on his ass for most of this movie. He was really a fun element of the Superman movie last year. Kara teleporting in that bus while fighting pirates. That was pretty fun. It was an interesting way to kind of add in some new alien tech that we haven't really been involved with, and it's a new, interesting setting I don't think we really had before, where she's kind of like, she kind of knows what she's doing, but she kind of doesn't. It's a really fun scene. Superman meeting Kara after she lands. This is really fun, where you get to see Superman meet Supergirl for the first time. And it's really funny because she's speaking Kryptonian, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't speak Kryptonian. I only speak English. You know, Kansas, oh, why am I talking louder? You know, it's a really funny interaction. David Cornsey, he is great as Superman. He was good in the Superman movie last year, but him in these scenes that he did, especially that one where he meets Kara for the first time, really funny. Like, I love him as Superman now. He's really great. Can't wait to see him in Man of Tomorrow. Lobo fighting Krem's men while on his bike. This is pretty cool. You get to see some Lobo action with his really cool hook on a chain and just whipping that around. He's got grenades he's tossing. He's driving around on his flying motorcycle. He's really, really awesome in here. And then Supergirl slow-mo sequence that we saw in the trailer. That hit even harder in the trailer. Like, I got goosebumps watching it in the theater. It's really good. I really like what they did with her at the end of in that fight sequence, where she's throwing tanks and she's beating the shit out of guys. She's stopping a giant bolt for going into Ruthie, and she's laser beaming the shit out of people. Like, I really enjoyed that final, like, I think it's like a good 20, 25 minutes of just pure action at the end. I really, really liked it. Some favorite quotes here. This is a little tougher. There wasn't a whole lot of quotes that I could pull out of here right away. But with a couple of rewatches, I wonder what I'll pull out later. But these are all from Supergirl and Lobo. So I'll do all the Lobo ones, and then I'll do all the Supergirl ones. So Lobo, oh, that's ballsy when the guy tries to take his bike. Aren't you that ditz from the dive bar? I'm so proud of you when Ruthie breaks him out of jail. Jason Momoa is really good in here. And then all these from Supergirl. Why we haven't been formally introduced. That was the line from the trailer. He sees the good in everyone. I see the truth. Talking about Superman. There is no home without you, buddy. Of course, referring to Crypto. Very emotional line there. And then Krypton didn't die in a day. Gods are not that kind. As she references, being in Argo City, drifting off into space, and just kind of being in the unknown. And then this one from Superman. Why am I talking louder when he's meeting Kara for the first time? She's speaking Kryptonian. He's trying to talk louder to get her to understand what he's saying, but it doesn't work. He's really funny in here. Fun facts, and then we'll wrap things up here. According to Millie Alcock, she says, my cape in this film was remade using material from the original Superman cape from 1978. Yeah, I think that they found there was like 16 meters of that material. So yeah, that's in the back of my cape now. That's pretty cool that they have Christopher Reeve's cape as a part of her cape. That's pretty cool. Keeping the legend alive. This movie was originally titled Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, after the comic book of the same name written by Tom King. I like the fact that they just named it Supergirl. They can save Woman of Tomorrow as the sequel or something like that, just like they're doing with Superman. Millie Alcock is the 5th actress to portray Kara Zor-El in the live action and the third actress in film. Let me think if I can say it. So we have Millie Alcock. We've had that one Laura Vandervoot from Smallville. We've had Melissa What's-Her-Face from the Supergirl show. We've had What's-Her-Face from the 80s movie. I know I'm missing one, but I got 4 there. I'm sure there's probably like a cartoon or something that I'm missing, but I mean, we've had a decent amount of Supergirls, but I really like Millie Alcock. She's great. Gunn said that Alcock's audition as Supergirl blew him away, stating, Millie is a fantastically talented young actor. I was blown away by her varied auditions and screen tests for Supergirl. She truly embodies Kara. To add on to that, I guess James Gunn really liked her in House of the Dragon as Rhaenyra Targaryen. If you've seen the Game of Thrones spinoff, she's really good in that show. But I guess he watched... it was either him or the director whose name escapes me, Craig Gillespie. It was either Gillespie or Gunn stated that they watched House of the Dragon and are like, that is our Supergirl right there. So that's pretty cool. And then Supergirl is accompanied by Crypto, the Superdog, in this adaptation. In the comics, she also famously has Streaky, the Super Cat. James Gunn has been asked if Streaky is going to be a part of the DCU, to which he said, if my cat had superpowers, I'd be the only human alive. Not in the near future, no. So I guess a super cat is out of the question for now. But anyways, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I like the action. I like the story that they're trying to tell. I love Millie Alcock's performance. It's got a great cast. Jason Momoa as Lobo is awesome. Villain. We're going to be talking about the villain here in a couple seconds with the villain scale. And then, of course, Superman showing up in here for a lot more than I thought he was going to be in, which was a very delight treat. I really like him even more now as Superman than I did in Superman last year. This is a good movie. I really like it. Go out and make your own judgment on this movie. Don't go and drown yourselves in reading bad reviews, watching really bad takes on this movie. Go ahead, watch it, support the movie, support your theater. Go check this out for yourself because I really enjoyed it. A lot of people seem to have missed the fun aspect of this and just hyper analyzed it. They just looked way too far into, again, what did that action mean? What does this word mean? Why to do this instead of that? Just hyper analyzing it. Just chill the F out. It's a superhero movie made by a fun director, made by a fun producer in James Gunn, who just wants to have a fun time making DC Universe because he's a giant comic book nerd. Just quit over analyzing these movies and just turn your brain off and just enjoy it. And form your own opinion. That's all I got to say. Alrighty, let's switch over to the rankings. A jam-packed rankings, I should say, today. This episode is brought to you by Dubby Energy. Still drinking energy that quits before you do? Stop crashing, stop shaking, and start performing. Meet Dubby Energy, clean energy made for gamers, creators, and anyone who refuses to slow down. With zero sugar, no jitters, and no crash, Dubby keeps you locked in whether you're grinding ranked, streaming for hours, or pushing through those late nights. There's no crash, no fade, just gas. Drink different, perform better. Grab Dubby Energy and use code Cinematic10 to get 10% off your order today. Okay, kicking things off, the DC Universe ranking. Let me pull up the list on the Cinematic Reviews website. Again, you can rank the DC Universe as well on the website. Just set up a profile. So here we go. We're going to start from the bottom up. So number 4, Creature Commandos. This is the animated series about just a variety of different characters from the DC Universe. Number 3, Peacemaker, the John Cena-led show as Peacemaker. Number 2, this is where I put Supergirl. Really like it. It doesn't quite get up to the level that was the first Superman, which is number 1. But I do like it. Second best out of these projects so far. Again, not a very large list to compare it to, but I really did like Supergirl. And then, like I said, number 1, Superman from last year. So that is the DC ranking for Supergirl. Number 2, Blockbuster Showdown. We've got Superman from last year versus Supergirl from this year. And the winner, we're going with Superman. Lex Luthor was a better villain than what we got in Krem in this one. Really like David's Superman. I really love Millie Alcock's Supergirl, but it's just something just hit a little bit more with the Superman movie, and mainly the villain. Like if the villain would have been a lot better, that is stating the performance and the writing, this would be a closer fight here, but with the villain being my biggest gripe of the Supergirl movie, Superman has to win the Blockbuster Showdown today. Best in Show. This was tricky, but I did get a winner. But here are your nominees for Best in Show for Supergirl. Millie Alcock as Kara, a.k.a. Supergirl. Jason Momoa as Lobo. And David Corenswet as Superman. This was tough. I really wanted to pick Superman. Well, actually, I really wanted to pick all 3 of these, but I couldn't. But I'm going to go with Millie Alcock's Supergirl as the winner in Best in Show. She was great. This is her movie. She owns it. Her performance is incredible. I really like her. She is Supergirl. Like, she did a great job. She's got the look. She's got the charisma. She's got the attitude. She's really good with the action sequences. Her bond with Krypto is awesome. That little montage at the beginning where they're just kind of partying from universe to universe. They're watching TV. They're just hanging out with each other. I want more Krypto and Supergirl in the future. Millie Alcock is Best in Show. She's what stole the show for me. But Lobo and Superman came in very, very close. I wanted to pick all 3 of these, but I had to pick a winner, and that is Supergirl. The villain scale. I don't think we've had the villain scale on a non-Marvel episode yet. I'm going to start tying these in more, especially in the superhero one. So we're going to do the villain scale for Supergirl. Again, if you're not familiar with the villain scale, this is where we rate the villain based on the performance of the actor, the motivation, and the costuming. Well, the costuming is weird. Like, really weird. He looked like an orc from the Lord of the Rings. Like, what the hell? And then he's got those metal dots on his face. I guess when you headbutt him, it doesn't really hurt. I don't know. The costume was weird. He looked like an orc from Lord of the Rings. That's all I got to say. The motivation. I mean, he's just a nasty son of a bitch. I mean, he kidnaps women as wives. Not women, girls. Like kids. He's kidnapping kids to make his wives. It's pretty fucked up. So, I mean, as a villain, I mean, that's as evil as you're going to fucking get. Performance sucks. He was greatly miscast. Nothing personal against the actor, Matthias, whatever your last name is. You either needed a different villain or you needed a different actor because it just didn't do it for me. This movie has a villain problem and it just didn't do it. But with the motivation being just the most evil motherfucker. I'm giving him 2 Thanos heads. I really wanted to give him 1, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and they at least made him a nasty human being. Well, not a human being, an alien. A nasty being. And I'm going to give him 2 Thanos heads. Otherwise, this is one of the worst villains I've ever seen in a superhero movie. It's bad. This has got a villain problem. It doesn't have a Millie Alcock problem. Doesn't have a motivation for Supergirl problem. Doesn't have a Superman problem. Doesn't have a Lobo problem. This movie straight up has a villain problem, and that is why it is not on the height that it could be when it comes to the Superman movie with Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. Did a great job as Lex. I really like his Lex. The villain holds this movie back the most. It's just terribly performed, terribly written. Just could have done a lot better with the villain. Then the popcorn rating. I'm giving it 4 popcorns. I really wanted to give it 5 popcorns, but I just couldn't because of the villain. I couldn't get it on there. But 4 popcorns, it's really good. This is a good movie. I enjoyed it. I really like it. This is an awesome, and it's a very, very close. Like, this is the highest 4 popcorns that you can get. Like, we're finger touching the 5 popcorn level. Like, it's just there. It's just a couple of decent scenes with the villain short of 5 popcorns, but I'm gonna go with 4 because, like I said, this has a villain problem. That is the biggest issue I have with the movie. They need to redo this entire villain for sure. Well, I think that's going to do it for today's new release episode, this review of Supergirl. Again, please form your own opinions. Go check this out in the theater. Don't drown yourself in bad reviews, YouTube videos of people dunking on this movie. Just make an opinion for yourself. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people that enjoyed it. Just go support this movie. Go have fun. Turn your brain off and get to know Millie Alcock as Supergirl, because she's here to say she is the Supergirl in James Gunn's universe. So we're going to be seeing a lot of her. But anyways, a lot of content coming out. We got the Top Gun double feature coming out on 4th of July. Super excited about that. We've got our Marvel Marathon continuing this week with Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. We're going to be kicking off the Spider-Man event in preparation for a brand new day coming out next month. Lots of content coming out. So go ahead and check out all those episodes when they drop. Check out the website. Check out the social media pages. I post a lot of stuff on there. Enjoy the rest of your guys' week. If you end up not seeing another episode this week because of all the busy holiday stuff, have a good 4th of July. And we'll see you all next time on the show.